We are so excited to be the host of the AI and Smart Automation Conference once again. And this year, we will be heading to Georgia Tech in Atlanta. Big supporters of the event this year is the ATDC, which is the Advanced Technology Development Center at Georgia Tech. It serves as the hub for technology entrepreneurship in Georgia. It was founded in 1980 and has helped more than 230 companies graduate. Those companies have generated $12 billion in revenue. Joining me today are two of the leaders from the ATDC. John Avery is the director of the Advanced Technology Development Center at Georgia Tech. John, thank you for being with us today.
Very glad to be here.
And also joining us is Ward Broom. Ward is the ATDC Startup Catalyst Automation and Robotics Vertical at Georgia Tech. Ward, thank you for being with us.
You bet. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Well, so now that we know a little bit more about you guys and what you do, we'll go ahead and kick things off with John. As the director of the ATDC, can you talk about why now is an especially exciting time for smart automation solutions in industry?
Well, first, we're very glad to be supporting this conference. It's an exciting time to be talking about these topics and bringing them to Georgia Tech. As a state of Georgia's startup incubator, of course, we want to make Georgia the best place on earth to start and grow a technology company. So we're really excited about having this conference come to Georgia. There's really several reasons, I think, that make this an interesting time. The rapid pace that this technology is improving and the convergence of different technologies together, from large language models processing voice to text to video, image processing. All these things have been used in the past, but they're coming together in ways that make it easier and much more accessible than it's ever been in the past. And that, along with the need to retrain new workforce to come into this area, it's just there's a lot of things working together to make this the right time to get into this kind of technology.
Absolutely. And then Ward, as we think about, this technology, what are some of the most impactful applications that you're seeing of AI and smart automation in industry?
I work primarily with companies in the robotics area, in automation, but it really spans across all industries. I don't think there's any one area that is not being significantly impacted by AI. We've got a lot of the startups that we have are tapping into this opportunity. They're out there, they're solving problems that they see in industry right now. And the great thing is we'll have 4 of these companies that are going to be presenting at the conference. So we've got Riff Robotics, which actually has an application in the medical field for assembling surgical kits and removing a lot of the issues, the challenges with that. We've got Mapmerize, which is a company that utilizes AI for designing polymer materials for industry and streamlining that process. We also have Sentinel AI, which has a device for machine monitoring in manufacturing operations. And it also has, or basically provides, an extra level of cybersecurity. And finally, Process Miner is going to be presenting, and they sort of specialize in continuous manufacturing processes and monitoring those, increasing the quality for those processes. Think pulp and paper, think wire manufacturing, that sort of thing is what they're specializing in.
Wow, that's like a really cool range, solving a lot of different kind of problems that we see in industry. And so that folks will be able to come to the event and, learn more from folks at those companies about the way that they're solving these problems. Awesome. And you can find more info about that on the website, of course. John, let's talk about how predictive technologies are changing the landscape of resource management and quality control in manufacturing. And do you have any examples of these implementations?
To me, the thing that's new is that on the factory floor and manufacturing floor, there's always been an interest in optimizing and predicting the sort of ongoing health of the hardware and the machinery that's on the floor. But what the sort of the larger scale technologies are allowing is you step back from the floor, the long-term planning, the workforce management, the supply chain reliability, those things that sort of feed the upper levels of what goes into the plant in addition to the stuff that runs in the floor. I think there's a lot of opportunities now to use AI and high-end automation to, reach up into those higher levels to facilitate more robust supply chains. And as we've seen over the past few years, the brittleness of some of the supply chain along the way has caused some problems at the scale that we operate now globally. And I think these kinds of technologies can go a long way to being adaptive and be able to accommodate change in the system. In the past, a lot of these automated systems were pretty rigid in the way that they operate. They're very intelligent, but they're offline, and then they have to be, sort of applied after the fact. But in the way things are going now, these systems can be dynamic and adjusting in real time to the way things are happening and make adjustments in the supply chain as needed as things go forward. This is an exciting time, relatively new in the field, from what I can tell.
Yeah, unlocked some new possibilities, truly. Now, when we think about the challenges that organizations face when adopting AI and smart automation applications, what are those and how are they overcoming those to successfully automate in their processes?
To me, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that the technology is still in so much flux. It's improving so rapidly that it's kind of hard to decide when to dive in and to start committing to a use of a certain technology, because the technology, like I said, is improving so quickly. And there needs to be a little bit of stability, some time for these companies to adopt the new technologies so that they can get some benefit as the technology continues to improve. If I was in a decision making at one of these facilities and trying to make that decision, there'd be a hard time. Every day I look around and I see something that's even better than what I had been using the day before. So it makes it a little bit tricky to do the planning, especially if it's a major commitment to the way your systems work. That's the first thing that comes to my mind.
I'll just kind of add on to that a little bit. So part of it as well is, getting or training these systems. So, building the data foundations for these things. It's not something that happens instantaneously. Every application is unique. And then the other part of it is, and we actually had this discussion the other night at a panel discussion, was the labor side of this. So when you think about the reason that automation and AI are coming into the scene at this point and are never going to go away is because of a lot of the labor challenges that we have. But at the same time, for the people that you're introducing this new technology to, they often feel threatened by these new technologies. And there's a lot of pushback within the organization. So how you go through that process of implementing is really important when you think about your current workforce.
There really needs to be that education component, both in terms of understanding what options you have available and then helping everyone understand how it is going to help them rather than, take over for them. I think that's great. Like, what a comprehensive answer we got to there with that. So and then as we see it grow, of course, a big question in everyone's mind is, what are the ethics around this? And when we think about the practical application of AI in manufacturing, it's a lot of data and that needs to be ingested by the system and kind of, then it can decide what to do with that data. What are the ethical questions in AI for automation of manufacturing? And how are you guys thinking about addressing those?
So I think what I've seen in every conversation I've had about this, especially in this area, is that humans are in the loop. The main conversation has been around how the AI can augment the human activity that goes on in this environment to make sure that that's still amplifying the strengths that humans bring to the process and letting AI augment what that is instead of replacing as much as possible. And I think that's clearly on everyone's mind. And I think something that can be accommodated, something that does take some effort. I think one of the reasons that conferences like this are helpful is you're actually blending the people who are working on the technologies with the people that are using it in the first hand, like first person, the ones who are actually deciding on where and how to put this into the real world, up against and working with actively those people who are working on the tools. So I think as long as that keeps happening, if the people who are doing the work on the tools and the people who are using it are working together, that'll be a process that can be managed.
Yeah, and the only thing that I would add to that, is the area of bias. And that's something people are watching very closely, because people are involved with building these systems and again, building these models. You have to be very careful about building biases into the system as well. So that's another area of concern or something to be aware of.
Absolutely. Well, now as we think specifically about this event and everyone that's gathering there, we're so excited to be with you all there in Georgia this year. Why is the ATDC excited about sponsoring this event?
Well, we are actually, as a state of Georgia's official startup incubator, again, our goal is to make Georgia the best place on earth to start and grow a technology business. We actually have 8 different practice areas that are convening together to leverage the knowledge across the domains, from help tech, supply chain, robotics, sustainability, 5G connectivity, cyber defense. All these things are benefiting from working together. And having conferences like this, where really focus in on the AI and how it can be applied in this one area, you have a benefit of having everybody from a different perspective in the same room thinking about the same problem. I think that's really the magic in Atlanta, is that we have all these different industries that are here. Atlanta's not a single industry town. It has a sort of a broad mix of industries all working together. We have a large collaboration between them, as shown in ATDC's 8 different practice areas. To me, it's in the cross-pollination between those practice areas where a lot of the new creativity comes from and where the new solutions are revealed, which is, I think, one of the main reasons I'm excited about bringing this forward into Georgia.
From my perspective, I have actually seen Kent Anderson speak before. Matter of fact, we had a one-day conference with him here in Atlanta at Georgia Tech that went really well. So I'm excited about having him back. It would encourage people to see that. And then, selfishly, my objective is to get A3 to have the Automate conference here in Atlanta. So this is a good way for them to get in touch with Atlanta and how accessible the area is.
What a great community and an excellent area to be having these conversations in. Now, thinking about those who are attending, what would you say their benefits are of coming to this event?
I think the first is you're going to see the head of the line, that, the tip of the iceberg as far as what's the new kind of technologies that are being applied, how people are thinking about putting it to work. It's a blend of industry and academia and startups and corporates. So you see it from all these different perspectives. I'm hoping that the conversations that result from that turn into real business opportunities. It's not just a conversation, but it's actually something that can promote the use and the continued advancement of this technology in the real world in places that matter. For the last few years, we've seen a large jump forward in, for example, large language models as relates to text, chat back and forth in text. And I think we're beginning to crack open the use of the technologies in everywhere else, in the image processing and machine robotics, those things that kind of touch the real world outside of a chat box window. And that's really game changing. I mean, there's so many applications. I don't think we've even begun to scratch the surface. But I think when you have conferences like this, where you have everybody together in the one room having these kind of conversations, that's where those new ideas come forward. And hopefully some really significant breakthroughs can occur in the way these technologies can be applied.
Ward, can you just add also who you would like to see there?
I think people from industry, who are actually looking at implementing these technologies would benefit greatly. People from academia, I believe, would benefit. But I think, probably the key thing would be from industry. Again, people that are really thinking about these technologies or have already implemented these technologies and have some challenges that they want to share. So it really is a great opportunity. And one other thing I just wanted to add as well with Georgia, another reason we're really excited about this is, we've got the Georgia AIM initiative, which is the AI in manufacturing that's being funded through the federal government. So that's a huge initiative in the state of Georgia. And then we've also got the Robo Georgia initiative, which is a nonprofit that we have launched. And that's all about automation and robotics and AI in industry as well. So think of Mass Robotics out of Boston or the Pittsburgh Robotics Network, but we've launched that network here. So, with a combination of academia and industry, Fortune 500 companies, Georgia Tech, all the research that's happening here in the state of Georgia, this is a great place for the conference.
And so for anyone who hasn't registered yet, head to automate.org/AISA for the AI and Smart Automation Conference. It's going to be November 12th through 13th at the Georgia Tech Global Learning Center in Atlanta. So again, John and Ward, thank you so much for joining me today and talking about this kind of new opportunities here in industry. And we're really excited to have you as sponsors of this event.